Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Arctic Wire Rope and Supply, an Alaskan company providing lifting and rigging products since 1983. Manufacturing custom wire rope, chains, and nylon slings here in Anchorage. On the web at arcticwirerope.com.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here for Alaska Weather this Sunday afternoon. I'm Dave Percy. Start off saying that today starts the Tsunami Preparedness Week and continues through the 28th. And if you want to find out more about that, go to ready.alaska.gov for more information. Otherwise, a lot of clouds here, mostly clouds, not much in the way of any precipitation. Any rainfall appeared to be over southern Kodiak Island with the heaviest band even south of there. And it kind of falls apart here toward the Queen Charlottes. Looks like another circulation right there. That'll all be lifting northward. Otherwise, pretty nice day here along the southeast coast, across the Gulf of Alaska, sunshine over south central Alaska, and back up into the northwest. So it was this area of clouds bringing some light snow overnight to the northern Susitna Valley or down to Cantwell. That lifting northward this afternoon. There's still a chance of a few flurries north of Talkeetna tonight, but that should, this evening, but that should be over with tonight. And then otherwise it's clouds and some flurries scattered around the interior. Koyukuk Valley saw a little bit of, Koyukuk Valley there around Bettle saw a little bit of light snow at times today. And a couple of bands up here to the north, upper level disturbance, a weak upper disturbance here over the northeast, that enhancing those clouds along the eastern Arctic coast. So there were a few flurries, could be still going on, patchy fog in areas there, and a very weak band here trailing back down across the northwest coast. And you can see that too lifting northward. Kind of high pressure developing here. That's why some of this moisture taking a turn to the northeast into the interior and then evaporating in the subsiding air mass associated with the higher pressure. A lot of colder air back out here over the Bering Sea. Widespread area of low clouds, low to mid-level clouds with the higher stuff showing up whiter here. And most of that off to the west there, but cold enough to produce some heavy freezing spray warnings in portions of the Bering Sea. Otherwise, it looks like it broke out a little bit, at least around Unalaska, more likely Nikolsky, but they had a little warmer temperatures there. They reached into the lower 40s there at Nikolsky, a few more clouds cooler over towards Sandpoint, False Pass. And here's a chart today. Again, just patchy fog and flurries here. Again, occurred up the Susitna Valley with sunshine, south central Alaska, Cook Inlet, a lot of areas, some light snow showers around the Wrangell Mountain areas, and then this front here will be pulling northward later on tonight, and some flurries up along the Arctic coast again with that area of cloudiness associated with that upper trough, and some of that spilling down into the Bering Strait. Gusty north winds up to 40 miles an hour occurring at Tin City, at least during the morning into the midday hours, with temperatures rising, creeping up to near zero. And again, north and northwest of this front, that's where the coldest air is. And then, of course, milder down to the south. And that system tonight could bring some moisture to mainly the east side of Kodiak Island in the form of drizzle, fog, or light rain, with nothing up to the north except some clouds. So pretty fair evening here for south central Alaska. Otherwise, we'll have clouds scattered around with some flurries scattered around as well. Nothing will amount to too much. North Gulf Coast looking really good. In fact, Yakutat has sunshine in the forecast both for Monday and Tuesday. Look for the clouds to increase tonight here over the southern panhandle with a chance of rain moving up late tonight with that weak front, actually weaker right through here than it will be over to the east because of this low tracking northward there that we saw on the satellite, and then chance of rain and snow mix depending on elevation here. Back across the Alaska Peninsula, cutting off possibly just before reaching the Unalaska Dutch Harbor area. And again, stationary Arctic boundary in this location here, cold north to northeast winds out over the Bering Sea, and then the kind of weaker, milder easterly flow here across southern Alaska. But you can see the Arctic high ridging out of the Russian Far East in across the western North Slope. So anywhere that clears out will be quite cold tonight. And those winds probably diminishing here through the Bering Strait, and then only 15 to 25 miles per hour for the remainder of the Bering Sea and the Aleutians. And the forecast tomorrow, again, front pretty stationary right through this location, cutting right through the Tanana Valley. Most of the snow and most of the clouds and light snow or flurries, again, none of which will amount to very much, will be north of the area there, and scattered, isolated flurries and snow showers back to the west, with also some clearing, but pretty fair. Just a few clouds here across southern Alaska, with drying out. Even St. Lawrence Island could see some clearing. And then this front again brings the greatest chance of rain over the southern panhandle, staying pretty nice up to the north there, with the main low way to the south. So this front will be just hung up there across southern Kodiak Island. That's where the best chances of rain will be. Should be south of the state airport, but really cutting it close there. Just some variable clouds to the north. Mixture of precipitation, western Alaska Peninsula down into the eastern Aleutians, and then west and northwest of that frontal boundary, cold enough for snow. Probably snow showers there for the Pribilofs, and again, not much change. It'll be continuing on to the southwest into the central and western Aleutians, but not a whole lot of moisture with it. And then on Tuesday, a much stronger low makes an appearance here onto the south part of the chart here. So winds definitely increasing throughout the day for Kodiak Island. Moisture could get caught up in that easterly wind flow. So the low elevation sea level coastal locations just seeing some occasional rain or drizzle and fog, but higher elevations, say above 1,000, 1,500 feet, that'll be snow. So kind of have a mixed condition here. And then colder temperatures, flurries there from Kuskokwim Bay back down to the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians. A lot of snow showers. Those winds picking up. You can see the tighter gradient here over the central Aleutians. That's good for north, at least probably up to 25, 30 knot winds, maybe some gale force gusts possible, but much lighter out to the west where the high is, sitting there just east of Kamchatka Peninsula. And that circulation around that high and the low pulling the cold air south and southwestward. That front now right about in this position and basically along the Alaska Range just about there, where it's warmer and milder to the south and a little cooler, or actually a lot cooler, especially overnight temperatures up to the north. Otherwise, look for the winds to increase here over the panhandle Tuesday afternoon, probably up to small craft advisory levels there along the south coast. Rain's still a ways off. That'll probably move on up on Wednesday, and looks like rain likely Wednesday through Friday. At least when I last read the zone forecast down there, looked much wetter conditions coming in for the middle and latter part of the week down in that location. Otherwise, the Arctic coast, really light winds under high pressure, chilly temperatures, patchy fog possible anywhere along the coast up there with the light winds. And also for Cook Inlet, patchy fog possible tonight, which mainly restricted to the inlet areas there with the light winds. This kind of a very light northeasterly wind flow, or north-northeast, continuing through Tuesday. Not much change, but we'll see some clouds, more clouds down to the south. And from there, we'll see the temperatures shaped up like this for the southeast coast in the 40s. Sitka 49, one of the warmer locations, and Klawock had 48, otherwise mid-40s here. North Gulf Coast, Yakutat to Cordova, 46 degrees, 44 in Valdez, same thing in Palmer. Upper 40s Homer, 48 degrees, also the mid-40s there for Kodiak Island, both at AKwx and over at the state airport of Kodiak. Upper 30s, eastern Tanana Valley, Northway, 38, Fairbanks, 28, and lower 20s across the Yukon, Koyukuk Valley, Fort Yukon at 21, Bettles, 21, 10 degrees even there at Anatuvik and Adigan, and then either side of zero along the Arctic coast from 4 below at Dead Horse to -8 there at Point Lay, or not, -7 at Point Lay, Cape Lisburne at -8, and creeping up towards zero. These are mid-afternoon temperatures, not the highs. There's that Tin City with 6 below. up 10 degrees from that at Nome. 16 also kind of a common temperature there along this Yukon Delta coastline, and mid-30s there in the along the Kuskokwim River Valley. For the Pribilofs, right near the freezing point, St. George edged just above that. Mid to upper 30s here for the Aleutians, and that 41 at Nikolsky, 39 on Alaska, mid-40s along the Alaska Peninsula. And looking at the lows for tonight, you can see contrasted south to north here, and especially southeast to northwest, with the coldest temperatures here up over the northwest part of the state and the western north slope. Could drop down toward 20 below in some areas, and then milder, teens, Tanana Valley to lower 30s here along and just well into the Kuskokwim Valley. Freezing forecast low tonight for king salmon, and mid to upper 30s, or call it mid 30s here for the Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula. 20s over the northern panhandle, and with that moisture increasing, southern areas staying much milder into the mid to upper 30s as those clouds roll in later tonight. And for the highs tomorrow, mid 30s here over the upper Yukon Valley, but Fort Yukon 25, Arctic Village high 14 tomorrow. Looks like it'll stay below zero along the Arctic coast and the north slope through much of the day, with -2 there at Shishmaref, the forecast high, and 15 at Nome, much like today. And then the 30s here, pretty common right down the Kuskokwim River Valley. Bethel again, 35, had 31 this afternoon earlier, so not much change temperature-wise. Out here to the west, upper 20s for the Pribilofs, lower 40s for the Aleutians, and colder out to the west towards Shemya. And as far as flying weather goes, look for the marginal VFR to increase here, but staying mostly over Dixon Entrance. Offshore flow will probably restrict it from making too much progress to the north, even though there will be an increasing chance of rain down in this area. VFR up the coastline, Calgan Island, marginal VFR over the Kenai Peninsula looking pretty good. In fact, Prince William Sound should be VFR through tomorrow, as well as Cook Inlet, except for the areas of patchy fog. And the Arctic coast, possible IFR. Again, the whole area up here will be improving throughout the day, starting out with the lowest conditions in the morning, gradually improving here with the IFR possible along the eastern Arctic coast, some lingering marginal stuff back to the west and down across the Chukchi Sea into the strait, and also St. Lawrence Island, IFR, especially early in the day here along the southwest coast, with the marginal conditions creeping a little bit inland from that location. More widespread area IFR at times with the Pribilof, St. George, St. Paul Island down to Atka. Back to the west here, near and north of Unalaska, to Cape Sarachev, with marginal VFR likely for the remainder of the Aleutians all the way out to Shemya. Passes, Zanatuva again starting out marginal and then becoming VFR. Adigan, marginal VFR, same forecast, becoming VFR. Lake Clark and Merrill, both approaches look really good tomorrow, wide open with VFR conditions, rainy, staying open as well, both east and west, and windy. Pass, nothing but VFR, south to north. Isabel looking good, and Mentasta as well, VFR. Tanita, wide open, VFR conditions, and Portage, VFR. Chilkoot and White, both VFR, and that may last maybe into Tuesday, and then conditions could start dropping off depending on how far north that moisture with that stronger system gets, but definitely tomorrow will be VFR. Freezing levels 2,000 feet here down over the Panhandle, at the surface over the northern Panhandle, Kodiak Island 2,000 feet into the Bristol Bay area, and then the colder air with that northerly flow. But the surface hanging back up here near the Pribilofs, and so that means probably temperatures above freezing there for the Aleutians. And icing threats of the light isolated moderate rime type here in this narrow swath of that frontal boundary, mostly south of Kodiak Island, and that'll be the greatest threat across the peninsula up near the Pribilofs. May not make it all the way to St. Paul, but then down in scattered areas of rime icing, mostly below, probably definitely below more than 10,000 feet, but out here over the Aleutians. And let's see, winds aloft. Jet stream wall to the south here, strong jet as you normally see this time of the year, off coming across Japan. Then it weakens here, 90 to 70 knots, upper level trough moving into Washington, upper high for the most part at this level, at jet stream level, right over Yakutat. Again, great forecast for that area if you like the sunshine for the next couple of days. An upper trough here will be gradually shifting eastward. That's going to put a southwest flow in across the northwest interior tomorrow and probably into the middle of the week. At 9,000 feet. This trough right through here, the one lifting northward, Not much in the way of wind, just 5 to 15 knots. Stronger winds south of Kodiak Island, again with that front that's staying to the south stretched out across the Aleutians. And then that low center coming north, 30 knots, so just to the Queen Charlotte's, lighter winds up over the southern panhandle, only 10 knots with very light variable wind conditions over the southern half of interior Alaska. And for 3,000 feet, much the same pattern, high pressure in over southern Alaska, centered right over the Alaska Range more or less. Trough to the north with the strongest winds off to the northwest toward Banks Islands there. Easterlies 35 coming across southern Kodiak Island, probably south of there. You can see the Bognac Island, only 15 knots, 25 to 30 knot winds east becoming northeast and dropping down across the Aleutians. And turbulence-wise, just some isolated moderate chop here. Kodiak Island, southern Kodiak Island, across the Alaska Peninsula, and back down around the Pribilofs, possibly the eastern Aleutians. Could be a little bumpy here from the Bering Strait down to St. Lawrence Island, but nothing too serious at all. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
We've just driven through 10 months of winter. The daylight's coming back, it's warming up. Everybody's got a little bit of cabin fever. And what do we throw in front of them? 18 hours of daylight, a pair of skis, and some fun activities.
Nana Nordic is the story of what happens when cross-country skiers from all over, Olympians, World Cup racers, university and high school coaches, share their sport with remote Alaska.
In 2011, I finished my season and I had 2 days to pack up for the trip. And to be honest, I didn't know what I was really getting myself into.
After the ski program left last year, the kids wanted to continue skiing and they missed not having that activity.
300 pairs of boots, poles, and skis were sent to the far north, above the Arctic Circle, to Kotzebue and the 10 surrounding villages. Located in northwest Alaska, the Inupiaq have lived in what is called the Nana region for more than 10,000 years. Transportation is by snow machine and airplane. Nordic skiing has not been a part of this northern culture, but that is changing. Despite their remoteness, the Nana region villages are busy with the activity of daily life. And for children, school.
Good morning, AKwx School. The temperature outside today is 14 below zero. Today, Nana Nordic will be visiting all the gym classes. Now on to your morning announcements.
The month of April, with 18 hours of sunlight, is perfect for cross-country skiing. Volunteer coaches taught the students a new way to enjoy the world just outside their door.
The volunteers come from all sorts of backgrounds. We have recreational skiers, we have competitive skiers, and we also have Olympians.
Good afternoon. We just flew in from Anchorage and we're here with... It's really awesome to see them take up something new that may be challenging at first and just to succeed at it, and they have a lot of fun together, and it's something that's real positive and it's really healthy for them.
Our kids are really active and they enjoy being active. They would much rather do that than sit at home playing video games if there's somebody offering it.
Skiing feels kind of like swimming because you could feel the smooth air going across your face.
The students spent 5 days learning to ski, during school and after school. The emphasis was on fun and exploring the land.
kids respond really well to skiing. I mean, a lot of them are maybe a little timid, a little afraid at the start. They learn that they're capable of doing these things that they didn't think they were capable of doing before.
You go right, left, and you can go as fast as you can, as slow as you can, and you could take your time.
We would like to have skiing as a school activity. It would be great to have a ski club up here, and we love to ski, and hopefully the communities enjoy skiing as well.
40 coaches, 1,500 students, 100 adults, 440 hours of coaching. Nana Nordic's goal is simple: introduce students and communities to cross-country skiing, a fitting sport for the place they call home and the world beyond.
North up to 25 knots there for Lynn Canal and Glacier Bay, with northeasterlies 15 knots to southeast at 15 there for the areas over the southern inside waters. East winds at 15 tomorrow over the central and southern inside channels, and northeast at 15 here farther up to the north. And then for Tuesday, as that next storm system begins to tighten the gradient up down to the south, 30-knot winds, possibly seeing some gale force gusts. These all increasing in the afternoon Tuesday, and small craft advisories all the way up there to the north with northerly winds, 25 knots coming down tonight for Lynn Canal, and then Tuesday north again, but lighter here over the inside waters, mostly from an offshore direction or offshore flow. For the forecast, Prince William Sound, light variable winds tomorrow. Same thing for Cook Inlet. A little more northerly here for northern Cook Inlet. Northeast 15 all the way down to Kamishak Bay. Small craft advisories, Shelikof Strait and the waters along the eastern Kodiak Island with 25-knot winds there. East to 20 there for the Barren Islands, and east to northeast 15 along the North Gulf Coast. Then for Tuesday, not much of an increase in the winds here, but give it more of a northeast direction. Northeasterlies 10 knots over the northern inlet north of the Forelands. About 15 on down to the south. Small craft advisories continue here for Shelikof Strait, and the winds increase again in the afternoon with that pretty big low pressure area gradually lifting northward in the front associated with it. Small craft advisories here for the western Gulf Coast down into the Barren Islands. East to 20 for the areas to the east. And for Bristol Bay, northeast 10 knots, brisker winds, east 25 here southwest of Kodiak Island. More of a northeast direction there on the southern side of the peninsula. Lighter winds here on the north, east 20, and Bristol Bay just northeast at 10. For the Tuesday outlook, east at 25, so definitely picking the winds up here for Bristol Bay at more, from the east and east-northeast. 20 knots for the northern side of the peninsula. South side northeast 20, 25-knot winds. Small craft advisories there from Sitkinak over to about maybe Sand Point. And for the eastern Aleutians, Fox Islands, 15 to 20-knot winds. Strongest winds here on the Bering Sea side of those zones. And Northeast 20 right out into the central Aleutians, northeast 15 with 5-foot seas for Shimia. And more of a northerly wind flow coming up for Tuesday. Again, these values picking up 25, maybe even 30 knots. Could see some gale force gusts, 8 AKwx with a little tighter gradient, but really dropping off under high pressure here out over the western zones. And northeast at 20, 15 to 20 knots, again hanging on to the strongest values on the Bering Sea side of the Fox Islands. For the Bering Strait here, we're actually St. Lawrence Island, north 20 knots. Those will extend back up to the Bering Strait. Northerlies right down to Nunivak Island at about 20, then northeast winds 15 to 20 knots, Kuskokwim Bay, and small craft advisories for the Pribilofs. And no change except throw the heavy freezing spray in here for the northern and north central part of the Bering Sea offshore areas, as well as the southeast portions. Heavy freezing spray warnings actually in from now through Monday night, but Tuesday probably not much change here. The winds still strong enough for heavy freezing spray warning, so that'll probably continue through Tuesday with northerlies 15 to 20 along the coast. And for the eastern Arctic coast, west winds up to 15, lighter northwesterlies back here to the west, and northerlies 15 to 20 knots here for the Chukchi Sea up to about Cape Lisburne. And then for Tuesday, easterlies here, just 5 to 15 knots on the east side, and about the same, call it 5 to 10 from the central coast down toward Cape Lisburne, but a little brisker, but only 15 knots, lighter winds here for the Kotzebue Sound area and out to the northwest. For tonight, again, flurries over the interior, but mostly clear. Fair skies continue for the North Gulf Coast, and then the next big storm coming up on Tuesday.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Indie Alaska is an innovative weekly web series capturing the diverse and colorful lifestyle of Alaskans. Real stories of everyday Alaskans at work and play. Supported in part by Alyeska Pipeline Service Company.